Hello, Franco. Welcome to the Elevate Your Soul podcast.
Kia ora, it's good to be here.
Thank you so much. My first question for you is, what elevates your soul?
What elevates my soul is many things. Music is a huge thing for me. But before that, underneath music is just following my heart, whatever my heart says. And my heart is speaking, like all of our hearts are speaking all the time, saying to go left, saying to go right, saying to stop, saying to go. Um, and and it's always right. Every time I follow my heart, it could be with a food choice, and that could elevate my soul. That food choice that was just like what I needed at the time.
Yeah.
Or it could be hanging out with a friend, or maybe not hanging out with a friend right now because my heart said to have some alone time.
Yeah.
You know, your soul can be elevated every second with every choice. So following my heart is how I do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So good. Can I ask, can you tell us and the listeners about your story and your journey with your own mental health?
Yeah, for sure. Well, as far back as I can really remember, back to my probably when I was 10, really, I always knew that there was something a little bit funny with my mood. Like it was a bit lower, it seemed, than other people's. Like it couldn't quite be on the same level of like happiness with all my friends around me, and I couldn't quite communicate as freely as it looked like my other friends could. So that was really real for me at the time. And about 13, 14 years old, my parents broke up, and I was like getting kicked out of school at this time. I got kicked out of like 2 schools,
Out of school?
and just like causing a bit of a ruckus and a bit of an upset in classrooms, and just overdoing my personality, because I just felt like I couldn't really communicate authentically and like in a nice, calm, natural way. So I would just like overdo it. I'd be that class joker at school. Um, and I remember my mum going, "Hey, I think we're gonna, like, there's a lot going on for you. We've broken up. Me and your father have broken up. You're getting kicked out of school. All these things are happening. Why don't we go see someone about, to talk to, a psychologist or whatever, a doctor?" So I was in and out of like doctors and psychologists, psychotherapy, um, since I was like 13 years old. So on medication, antidepressants from a really early age.
And they
And that was,
that because you were diagnosed with depression?
yeah, I think I was diagnosed with depression straight away, like at 13, which is, I don't know if it's a funny one. I don't know if I agree with diagnosing someone with depression at such an early, at such a malleable age.
Yeah.
Where now being 37, I can look back and go, man, all we actually need is good people around us, a healthy environment, healthy food, people, listening to us, and us listening to people. And so it's too early, I think, to be diagnosed with depression, really. Although I think humans need to label things in order to deal with them. So yeah, it's a funny one.
Understand
But
it.
it's been,
I think a lot of it's from fear, right? We're scared because it's the unknown and we don't know. So we're like, oh, we're just going to label that so we think that we know
yeah.
it. We're less afraid of it.
Yeah. It's so much of our our perception. Life is all about perception. But if we come from a fear-based place, other humans can really recognize that place, and we can really butt heads with others, and it doesn't go well ever when we come from a fear-based place, whether it be jealousy, or if we could just be chill and express ourselves calmly. Wouldn't it be such a happy world, right?
Easier said than done.
Big time.
And so you had a rough upbringing already as a child. You realized something was off. You were diagnosed at 13 with depression through your teenage years. When did it get worse after your teenage years later on in life, or did things start getting better?
I think I started rebelling against, or going with the kind of black sheep label that I started to get through my peers and whatnot. I was the first person to be kicked out of school, like out of all my friends.
Right.
But I went and got a job and started getting paid like good money, and was the first person to get a car. So I
Yep.
was like suddenly like the man in a way. So I was
Nice.
like that sort of hooligan that was kind of cool and did his own thing. And I was lending my friends money, and you know, but on that superficial level, things were like probably better than probably quite good, especially in comparison to other people my age. But what I saw,
Yeah.
but on a real level, I was like hurting. I was lonely. I couldn't express myself. I hadn't done the work
Yeah.
to learn how to communicate with
Did
to
you
what I needed.
awareness though? Did you have the awareness that something was wrong, or did you?
Oh yeah. I had the awareness that something was wrong, but I think it's hard to believe that you can change if you're so embodied in the darkness. If you're so embodied in certain habits that
Yeah.
aren't serving you. But it's like this is just me as a teenager. Like even still, I'm like, well, I believe in change, but far out. Like, how do I shift? How do I actually shift? Like, am I faking it? Because I just went back to my old pattern again. Yeah, like damn it,
Got triggered.
yeah, I got triggered. It's so easy to be a great captain in smooth sailing seas, but when
Yeah.
the seas get rough
Yep.
and shit can hit the fan and you can just lose it and your blood boils, and it's like, damn, I'm just like my father again,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's full on. So yes, um, I think it definitely got worse because I wasn't acknowledging it. I didn't know how to. I didn't have a mentor to look up to, man or woman, that showed me the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And what year do you think, in hindsight, were you the most depressed or unhappy in your life?
I think we need to skip like another probably 10 years, like 25. So
Yeah.
what happened is I partied and drunk and did so many drugs and all those things in my teenage years from 13 to 20
Yeah.
that I quit alcohol and drugs at 20,
Yeah.
and really really honed my musicianship, my guitar, my singing, my songwriting. I traveled all around the world as a busker, as a busking musician.
Were
So
you
I'd,
feeling better then at that point because you were doing
y-
all these good things for yourself and your body? Were you feeling better?
I felt more or authentic and more aligned with who I truly was, but I felt more lonely than ever because it seemed like the whole world is addicted to alcohol and drugs. So especially being a musician, I'd rock up to gigs and sober and play my gig, and then not couldn't quite get along with everyone on their level of being wasted because I wasn't wasted. And I was living in LA at
Yeah.
the time for like 2 years, hanging out on the strip, sober. Cocaine, speed, and alcohol, and partying, and I'd spend every 2 weeks in Vegas, which
Yeah.
was like even more of
Wow.
a dark,
Yeah.
energy, and so yeah, I felt even more lonely then. So
Totally.
so 5 years of sobriety. I was sober for 5 years. And then I came back to New Zealand because my grandma, who was getting older, she was like 90, 92, 93. She was about to die. And I thought, okay, I'm going to head home and see her. And I couldn't afford to get back to LA. So I fell into a real huge depression then because I was like, I had this little career that I was building over in
Yeah.
the States,
Yeah.
one that doesn't compare to the entertainment business in New Zealand. So
Yeah.
I was on like Jay Leno. I was playing on the strip. I was playing in Vegas before like big boxing fights.
Yeah.
And then came back to Auckland, and I was like, oh man, this is gray. The energy is like low. Everyone's wearing black and white, or just
No one has
black.
time to even listen to music.
Yeah, no one wants to like talk. And I just fell into my deepest depression then.
And that was
But
age 25
that
or
was that was like 20, 24, 25. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know how this happened, but an old school friend got hold of me and was like, dude, we're looking for a lead singer in our band. We all live together. the four other guys that were in the band with him were all friends of mine as well. They were like, would you like to try out for the band? And so I went around to this flat, and like there's this scungy, dirty flat on the North Shore. But they were all my friends, and they were like playing really good rock and roll music and like exactly what I wanted to be doing. I was just a solo musician at the time, and it just fit. I started singing with them, and it just fit, and we were like a band. And from that night on, when I was like, okay, I'm in, I had my first beer, like my first drink that I, since being a teenager. And then all hell broke loose basically for like a year or two. It was just like full on partying, full on music, playing drugs, alcohol, like the whole thing. And
So you
then I could escape the loneliness again. So I escaped the loneliness part, but still wasn't dealing with the reason, the why I am lonely.
you had this void that you filled as a teenager with all the drugs and alcohol, which alcohol is a drug too, and then
Mm,
you had your 5 years of being sober, which is so good, but
mm.
you still had that void within you. And then when you got like triggered and had that like taste of alcohol again, you just like, oh, like let me fill this void again with alcohol, with the drug.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah. And I got friends.
yeah, it's hard too when you were in LA and Vegas, for example, when you're in that environment. Like, good on you for staying sober for 5 years and being in the environment you were in where everyone's doing
Mm,
that stuff around you. But it seems like my experience is you can't really connect with people. It's not because they're on another level. It's like literally, I feel like when someone's on drugs, alcohol included, they're not present. They're not able to
yeah,
be in the present moment with you. So you're like trying to find someone to connect with in the present moment, and everyone else is like off somewhere else. And then that would of course make you feel even more lonely, because as you said
definitely.
before, you were living more alignment with your music, but you didn't have that community and friendships that were in alignment with you, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. When I'm sober and talking to people that are quite under the influence, like more than a couple,
Yeah.
I lose interest completely. I'm like, oh wow, my words are just going to fall into the nothingness because you're not going to remember this tomorrow. Why would I waste my time? So I can't hit the ball back,
Yeah.
with any kind of inspiration and energy that,
Yeah.
I'd rather go home and watch a documentary.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, exactly. And whether they remember it or not, they're not coming from an authentic place because their brain is chemically altered and doing different things.
no,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But it's funny when I just said like, I would have my own sort of thing that way that I'd rescue myself. Movies and eating shitty food was a big thing. Like the addiction moved
Yeah.
from the drugs and alcohol
Right.
and over to like M&Ms and like 3 movies in a row at like the cinema in LA.
Okay.
It would just be like hiding in a black hole and like eating peanut M&Ms for like 9 hours a day.
Ah,
So yeah, so it was just moving an addiction to another and escaping and not dealing with the root of the issue, which is lack of self-belief, like lack of self-confidence, and I think the way little boys and little girls gain true self-confidence is through guidance, through good guidance and rite of passage as young people, which is completely being exempt from society now. We just don't have that in the West, where we lead our little girls and little boys into these really clear lessons, these tribal type lessons,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's a shame.
Yeah, so interesting. I was so ready to ask you something and my mind just
Oh,
completely
sorry.
no, no. So when you were in your darkest time after you started drinking again and you were back in New Zealand, what pulled you out of that?
Pulled me out of the second sort of
Yeah,
phase of drinking.
yeah.
And
So because you were still basically, you were still depressed, you still had a void within you that you wanted to fill
yeah,
full time. So, and then when it got really, really, really bad because you were just like, I guess suppressing all the shit, you know, eventually it feels
Yeah.
worse, and then you have that breakdown moment, midlife.
Definitely. The way I found I guided my way out of the repercussion of the second big
Yeah.
phase of partying. It was having a baby girl with my partner at the time, Shivani. We had our baby, amazing Zakia Yates, and she, when I knew she was on the way, it just absolutely it made me just stand up tall and go, okay, this is a defining moment. This is where I can choose to sort my shit out and pay some fines and get healthy and get out of like Gotham City, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
or I can keep doing what I'm doing and just really flip a coin on how it's going to go.
Right.
But I chose the route of taking the reins of my own life. Me and Shivani, my partner at the time, we got out of the city. We got a little place and got away from the influences of the bars. So I was playing like 5 nights a week in the city, different bars. You know, I was getting paid. I was getting paid to drink and party. I was literally getting paid to drink and party. That's what my life was. So it was just madness, a lot of fun sometimes, but just the worst for your health and not real.
Yeah. And did you have a wanting when you knew you were having a baby? Did you have a desire to stop the alcohol and like clean your life? You actually wanted that.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. I was like, as soon as I knew Maisie was on the way, just like the responsibility of that went hit me like a lightning bolt, and I thought, okay, I need to be an example here. You know, the best shot I have at being a really good dad and raising a great daughter is to be somewhat of a good influence. And monkey see, monkey do, not monkey listen, monkey do. It's monkey see, monkey do. So
Yeah.
you gotta be the change. You gotta be the influence.
Yeah. And so when you initially went sober for that first stage of your life, which lasted so long, I want to say again, congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
And you realized and you had that awareness that you filled that void with junk food and movies, just like, you know, not
Yeah,
being present with yourself.
no.
Did you feel like when your daughter was coming along that you filled that void with something else that was negative or positive? Like, do you believe that we always fill in that space or that addiction with something maybe more positive, or do you believe addiction can fully, like, we can fully not be addicted to anything anymore?
I think I'm not absolutely sure, but I do know filling that void with something good for you is
Right.
better than filling that void with something bad for you.
Yeah.
So I started to fill that void with being a good father um, by being a better community male, you know, figure, and you know, following through with my word and not being a dick.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think you can be, I think addiction. Yeah, what is addiction? It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of good when you're addicted to good things. It kind of keeps you going. It kind of keeps if you're addicted to your purpose. I don't know if there's anything that bad with that. I mean, I think you can do anything too much and it will be bad for you in the end. But I have to say, like, balance is what I come back to all the time. You know, there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah. And there's a
Um,
between desire and addiction.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So when Maisie came along, it was like the lightning bolt that turned me on to, I got to get real now. I can't just like be a 15-year-old at 25, 35, 45, 55, like so many other men and women
Yeah.
that I see and know.
Yeah.
Bless them all. Everyone's on their journey, but I needed to get off that idiot bandwagon in my 20s, and I didn't just jump out like and I was good. It was like that was when my eyes first opened,
Mm,
and you know, the parting influences still kept going for a while until one night with a bottle of vodka and a cigarette. This was after me and Maisie's mum broke up. I was just like, fuck, I'm so down. I'm so depressed. I feel disconnected. This party lifestyle is just definitely not the way anymore. And this is where I remembered my parents, who were quite big meditators from an early age in my life. My dad and my mum would sit there on their couch, on their seat, and have their eyes closed and just like disappear for like half an hour to an hour a day.
Wow.
And I didn't know, I didn't understand what they were doing really at the time. When I was growing up, I was like, use it as an opportunity to just play the fool and like do things while they're not looking, kind of like sneak the cookies in whatever I was doing. But I saw it, so it went into my subconscious, and that particular night, drinking that bottle of vodka and having that cigarette, I was like, okay, I need to do something completely different. I need to go find something completely different. And I remembered a time when my mum took me to a Buddhist monastery, which is in Kauai. No, not Kauai, Puta. It is just north of Auckland. Kaukopakapa is where it is. And she took me there, and I didn't want to be there at all. I was like kicking and screaming as a young kid. But I remembered the feeling of what it felt like the solace of the land. And I saw the big Buddha that they had there, and the monks. And I was like, wow, I thought about it while I was drinking this particular night, and I was like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to find where that place is. I'm going to call them up and see if I can stay there. And that's what I did. I found this particular place.
You left a party and went there.
I found the exact monastery that my mum took me to 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
And they had cabins where you could rent. And so I rented a cabin for 2 weeks and just sat there and figured myself out. I sort of learned how to meditate and did yoga, ate vegetarian food, and sat in silence really for a couple of weeks.
Yourself, or was this like a community where you could do yoga?
There was 7 or 8 Tibetan monks there at the time. It was just me and like Tibetan monks, and I was just like learning from what they were doing. And
Opportunity.
yeah, so I just like kicked out of the party thing, and like the next day into that environment. And really that's the big changing point of my life, and that's what I'm still upholding today in different forms, is the yogic type lifestyle, which is looking after your body, eating clean, speaking the truth. It's no cult thing. It's just a lifestyle. It's embracing everyone and seeing the best in everybody, and understanding how everyone is special and a miracle, and we all need to know that and be that.
Yeah, it's not a cult or a fad for you either, right? It's not because it's
no.
to be spiritual these days. It's like legit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's great that it's gotten so popular and it's just busted out of the temples.
Yeah.
Because like you got the Ponsonby mother of 3 doing yoga every morning, to like the monk in the Himalayas and everyone in between. And that's what's inspired my life now. So me and my partner Nikki, we run New Zealand Yoga Day every year. We run 2 big festivals, 4-day festivals called Resolution Festival this New Year's Eve, and NZ Spirit Festival next February. And we just bring 2,000 people together and have incredible facilitated workshops all day, vegan food trucks, and incredible world music at night. And everyone just parties and celebrates and converses and learns together as a tribe, like we used to.
Yeah. I wonder if do you feel like you want to use a different word other than party? Because when I still hear party, even though I don't, I hear like, oh, we're all getting together. It's this festival. We're going to party. Like, I can't help, because I grew up in the same society, like think like, oh, there's going to be like alcohol, at least alcohol, if not drugs.
Yeah.
But that's not what your events are about.
It's not what they're all about, but like we party. We party. Yeah. Like let's keep that party word there.
Exactly.
And let's just change our thought on it. man, if you talk to me about partying without alcohol and drugs 10 years ago, I would have laughed my ass off at you and gone, you are a loser, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
There's no way you could have a good time being sober. And I tell you what, I've never had a better time being sober and dancing and singing and communicating with others than I do now. I mean, when you realize and wake up to this world, this universe, that everything's a miracle, and
Yeah.
like literally everything in existence, from the petals on flowers to your own fingernails, like everything is crazy, you know. It's a pretty beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
To realize.
you become numb to the specialness of life when you're depressed.
Yeah.
I know this was a while for you, this episode where you were really depressed, but I kind of want to take you back there, and so people can connect with you and people can relate if they're in a dark space right now. So what really helped you, what really shifted, was having this daughter and then going to this cabin, and that's such a good opportunity for you. That's such a good way to heal, to like have this time by yourself. Do you recommend, like, if other men are struggling and they're really depressed, even suicidal, they're having suicidal thoughts right now, do you recommend also spending time on their own, or do you recommend more connection and communication? Or from your perspective, what would you advise for someone who's in a dark place right now, or for people who have a friend who's in a dark place right now? I know it's pretty common in New Zealand. Like, I've had some guy friends open up to me and say that they have other guy friends calling them or texting them and telling them that they're having thoughts about killing themselves. So for
Yeah.
people who are in a dark space, or for who have friends who are, suicidal, what would you recommend?
Well, firstly, I relate to the killing yourself thought, because it was either change my ways, or that was going to be the result at the time, where I remembered about my mother and father meditating and finding this temple to stay at. That was the other option. So I completely understand people who are in that space.
Yeah.
It's like we started this conversation checking in with the heart, and how do we find our soul vibration, how do we rise our soul feeling up, and depending on where you are in the world and what community you're in, people have different options. And some people might not have a men's circle option or a women's circle option, but if you do, I would start with finding like a men's circle or a women's circle, and just sitting there and listening and feeling what other people are feeling, and what healing can be done when you just listen to other people's struggles and how they're dealing with them can be huge. So putting yourself in environments where you're not the only victim, it can be really, really sobering and give you great perspective.
Are there men's circles in Auckland for those who
Yeah, there's quite a few men's circles. I know a guy called Fabian Lowe. He's a really beautiful guy. He's actually facilitating a few workshops at our festival coming up at Resolution. He's a beautiful guy, and there's a few circles happening. And I'm going to start one as well, but I'm actually going to team up with probably 3 or 4 other men to do it, because I'm not in the country so much, so that when I'm away, other guys can hold the space while I'm away, and it can just be a conglomerate. Yeah. So, but the thing that everyone can do, doesn't matter where you are in the world, is reach out and speak your truth to someone that you love. Someone that that may look like they kind of can hold space for you, or something. Just speak your truth. Like say what you're truly feeling from a place of I feel this way. I need this. This is what I am going through. We're not really trained to talk like that. Like, as kids, we're taught 1 + 1 = 2, but we're not taught how to communicate our emotions from a place of I, which the power of I, it kind of it allows It allows people to hear you without kind of taking it on. And they can just like really hear you. So you're not saying you've made me do this, you make me this way. Don't blame anyone for anything. Don't blame anyone. Just say, hey, I'm feeling this way. That's the place to start.
As well, right? So I feel like we're really making yourself the victim by being like, you did this, and it's because this is happening, and all these external things around me are going on. It's just, I feel this
Totally.
way, and or even when it happened, it made me feel this way, and
yes,
for sure.
It's quite a disarming type thing to way to converse, and it allows you to put it on the table, and then whoever can hear it can pick it up and talk you through it.
Yeah. Would you recommend public mental health as well, like the hotlines and things like that? Like counseling?
Yeah, I would. In New Zealand, we've got Youthline, which is probably for, I don't know, like 25 and under people. And I used to work there. I used to be a guy on the phones, like at the other end, because I wanted to learn how to. I wanted to learn more about my mental health issues. So that was a. I was like 20, like maybe 19.
Okay.
19, I think, just before I went overseas. So I was like, maybe I'll go and learn about Youthline, these people that are on the other end of the phone line, because they learn processes and ways to help people like myself. So why not go to the root of the thing? That's been my sort of way in life, is like I get on a thought and I like go for it and just go straight to the root of the issue. Yeah.
For sure. And for people who have a friend, it's just surprising the amount that I've heard people say that their friends are messaging them, telling them that they're suicidal, or they're really depressed, and them not knowing what to do. So what would you recommend for people who have friends who are really depressed right now and suicidal?
Togetherness. Absolute like togetherness. Like, invite them round, let them stay on the couch. Like open your home up, open your heart up. There is nothing more important in that moment than your friend and their well-being. Nothing more. I mean, you got to look after yourself and your immediate family and household, of course, but put your social media down, put your whatever you're doing, and to say, yo, there's a spot for you on the floor. Just come and be here and feel my energetic warmth. Feel my care. Know that I see you. Know that I love you. Know that I'm here for you, and know that you would be here for me too. Just invite them over, or go over to their place and just and hunker in. There's nothing that feels better than community coming together, family coming together, friends coming together to just be with each other.
For sure.
No bill is more important than that. No, like your job probably isn't more important than that, unless it's maybe saving lives as well. I don't know, but just invite them around. Get out of your own way. Be some help. Yeah.
Beautiful. What advice would you give for parents who have teenagers? I don't even really want to separate the genders, but although this topic is more for men's mental health, but just for parents who have young teenage boys or girls who they think might be getting depressed. Like, what are some early warning signs so that the parents are even aware of what's going on?
I think early warning signs would be just that really big separation between the kid and the parent, where the kid just doesn't want to have anything to do with the parents all the time. Like I observe, I live with a young teenager, one of Nikki's kids, and I observe what I think is a really healthy balance. Like sometimes she doesn't want anything to do with us, which is perfect.
And that's very common as well in teenage years.
Totally. But sometimes, on the other half of the time, she is so happy to be at the dinner table and so happy to to be seen, and for us to see her new dance that she's come up with, you know. So it's like a warning sign would be just none of the good. Like if you don't see your kid at all, like they just lock their door and they're in there and they're playing Battleship or whatever, like stupid game on the computer. You know, that would be worrying. And if that is happening, initiate conversations, but don't make them feel bad or shame them. You know, just talk about life, talk about um anything at all, but just like communicate with them.
Did you lose interest in like connecting with your parents as well when you were depressed as a kid?
Yeah, I did. And I would do anything really to stay at someone else's house and continue the party, and you know, just not be around the rules.
Yeah.
You know, I think parents get way too caught up on rules.
Yeah.
And I can sometimes I can get, as a father, get caught into that trap as well. It's really easy to come up with some kind of weird rule that allows you to feel just better. You know,
yeah.
Yeah. But I play this little game with myself now as a parent, and I say, what if I said yes? Like it's the what if I said yes game rather than the no, which is kind of programmed within me.
Yeah.
And it's like when Maisie,
as parents.
it happens to all of us. And it's not just parents that can play this game. We can do it with anyone. What if I said yes? What's the big deal with Maisie having an Oreo cookie at 10 a.m. after her rice bubbles? Like, okay, like, you know, like every so often that could be okay.
Yeah.
But I'm programmed to say, oh no, you shouldn't have that before the next meal, or whatever craziness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then what have I started? I've started like, I don't know, just like, what if I said yes to my daughter going to stay at her friend's house?
Yeah.
What's the trouble? What's the real trouble with that? You're initiating trust in them.
Yeah.
And they're initiating trust in you, and you are showing that you are confident in their decision making.
Yeah.
You're not, you know, how well has a ruling with an iron fist ever worked for anyone, any country?
And that's what kids need so much, especially when they're teenagers. They just want to like be like, mom or dad, can you just like trust me? Like that's kind of what they're all about too. Like I can make my own decision. I can go to this party. Like I can, and some of that is really hard as a parent too. It's like, cool, you might need to let them fuck up sometimes. Like that's how they're gonna learn.
Yeah. Yes. It's like move the move the move the cage a little wider, you know, like move the circumference of their of their world just a little wider, so that they can actually trip over themselves a little bit, with you still watching them, you know, with you still caring about them, but having the conversation, like talk about the ins and outs, talk about the pros and cons. Expand it and liven up their mind, so you're not doing it for them.
Yeah. A lot of it's communication too. You just mentioned that. It's saying like, okay, why is mom and dad saying no to this? You know, explaining to the child why they think this isn't a good idea for them. And another thing I was wondering, so for parents who have a son or a daughter who are no longer like wanting to connect with them, and they're locking themselves in their room, for example, and never really wanting to be around the parents, and they're trying to connect with their kid and they're just like completely aggressive, which happens a lot at that age too. Like, fuck you. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to talk to you. Like, is there any advice? I know your girls aren't quite that age yet. Your oldest one's like 13, I think you said.
12 even. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But like, you know, when they're 15, 16 and would you just like let them do their own thing, or would you recommend still trying to connect with them for parents who are worried?
Even more important to connect with them. Then, you know, we have this crazy way we bring our kids into this world. Like the mother births the baby, we all snuggle this little baby to our hearts, so close to our hearts, and are passed around our family and community. and then those times of connectedness and closeness, they get further and further in between, because they become 4 or 5 years old, and now it's starting to be a little not cool to actually hug your mom. So
Yeah.
like we get this separation by the time we're a teenager. It's like, whoa, if a boy holds a boy's hand or like gives a boy a hug, that's gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like we just, the division is just like so big. At the same time, with the same amount of force, we are starving for that exact energy and connectedness that we're pushing away from.
Yeah.
So you need to break those barriers. You need to break those old patterns as parents, and hug the shit out of your daughter and son at 18 and 80, whatever the
Yeah.
age. You need to laugh with them. You need to they are you. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to relate about. So just get out of your head and connect with your kids. Doesn't matter how old they are. Don't give up.
The question that I have, because I'm not a boy, in this like men's community, especially in our Kiwi culture, how you said like when someone hugs someone else, which is just crazy because I have like a European background, so like guys are like kissing each other on the cheek, but like
Yeah.
here, if like a guy hugs someone else and that's gay, do you feel like it's easier for them to make fun of them as well because it's a connection that they're actually craving? So they're like, wow, I wish I was hugged more. Therefore,
Yeah.
get even more annoyed when other guys are like hugging each other and having that intimacy, and so I'm going to make fun of them. And also, like, how do we break that in our culture? Like, it's so wrong that like guys are so like homophobic and like, oh my god, like I don't want to be seen as gay, I don't want to like do anything that someone's going to view me as something wrong. Like, what advice would you give for like parents and like young adults, or even older guys? Like, what advice would you give
Yeah.
living in New Zealand?
Well, I think firstly, it's a great point. Like, yeah, I think it's a huge trigger point for boys and men when love is being shown from a man to a man. We don't blink twice about a woman doing it,
Yeah.
but a man to a man seems to be the problem. A part in us goes, "Wow, I wish I was hugged and touched and
Mm,
seen and felt." Doesn't matter who's doing it,
yeah.
because we're all starving for it. We're starving for it. So I think the way to resurrect this problem and make it rise from the ashes is be the change. Be that guy that goes up and just like hugs your bro. It's like, man, we don't do handshakes, bro. We do this, hug to heart, like heart to heart.
Yeah.
That's what we do. In Māori culture, we press our nose and our third eye and our hearts against another man, against another woman to say hello. A hongi. We share breath. We share our third eye. We share our heart. We share our spirit
Wow.
with another man.
Imagine if we
And
all just did that one simple thing when we said hi to each other. I think that would just change the vibration of this planet completely.
completely, because there's no bullshit. There's no bullshit right
Yeah.
here. When you push all those centers together,
Yeah.
no bullshit has any room to exist.
Yeah.
There's no room. So yeah, me and a lot of my friends, we hongi like when we see each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you listen to this podcast, try it. Push
Yeah.
next person you hang out with, push your nose, your third eye against the other person, and just take one breath together in through the nose
Yeah.
and see how it feels. It's beautiful. It's the most beautiful greeting on earth.
Wow. Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give for listeners who are in a dark space right now? For the listeners who saw this podcast title and was like, "Oh, men's mental health," or dealing with depression. This is totally me right now. I need some help and I need some
Mm.
guidance. What advice would you give to them?
It's cool that you asked this question, because apart from music, what I do is I record guided meditations, and I have online courses that I have for free on Insight Timer. You can check them out at frankoheke.com. But I talk a lot about this, and I guide people in a meditative state. So I get them to close their eyes and be with themselves and breathe. And then, and while they're in that kind of surrendered state, I can guide them through to a better space, to a more heart open, present frame of mind. So if you've heard about meditation before or heard about breath work before, it could be a really nice place to start to check out one of my guided meditations, and I can speak you through it, and you can push pause if you need to have a moment. You can push start and then keep it going. You can, just have someone in your ear, and all you need to do is shut your eyes and sort of be guided, kind of like a mentor. Like I said before, we're lacking mentors in the world, and what online guided meditations and courses do is allow you in your own time, your own private space, a chance to sit and learn and go through your passage, go through your journey, with someone that you could trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
So guided meditations is a big one.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do that, like I said before, having this real talk with someone that you kind of trust, like from an I place, from a place of, I feel this way, this is what's happening for me right now, without shifting any blame, without pointing any fingers. It's just like being vulnerable, which is, is a thing that men aren't taught to do, because it's taught as it's looked upon as a weakness, but it's like the most powerful thing you could ever be, is a vulnerable, truthful, open man or open woman.
Okay.
So
someone who's 40 years old or older, Kiwi man, or even anywhere in the Western world, has grown up in, that same mentality of society, and they've been conditioned to think that way. And now they hear this podcast and someone saying, just be vulnerable, it's so great. How do they even take the first step? How do they have that courage? How do they have the knowledge to do it so they don't feel like they're doing it inauthentically as well?
Well, the way to know if you're being authentic and vulnerable, your heart will be beating out of your damn chest when you are thinking about saying what you don't want to tell anyone. Okay. And if your heart is beating out of your chest, then that's a sign that something needs to come out.
Yeah.
But it's scary, and it's probably something that you haven't done before. That's a sign to do it. We're taught that that's normally a sign to, not do it. Keep it in, keep it in, keep it in. And we wonder why we've got an obesity problem and heart attack problem in the world. And, because we're storing it all in. We're blowing up like blowfish, because we're just keeping it all in. Yeah. When you try breathing in and just holding your breath. Yeah. You better do it for about a minute before you die. So you need to exhale as well. You need to exhale your thoughts, exhale your feelings in this world. So literally coming back to like that place of I, or if you don't feel comfortable in the family or friend situation you've got, you need to go find a men's circle, women's circle. You need to, or if there's no men's circles or women's circles, go find a psychologist to talk to. Someone else that can just listen to you, because chances are no one is clearly listening to you in the way that you need right now. That's why you're not feeling heard. That's why you're feeling compressed and closed up. Yeah. You need to express. So you may need to pay someone to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's easier, just go with what feels better for you. Sometimes you want to open up to someone I think that's a bit more common for women, not to stereotype the genders at all, but as a generalization. And then for other people, when you're in that really dark space, it might be easier to first open up to someone who doesn't know you, like a stranger, like a psychologist or a counselor. And there's so many things online these days as well. Like if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have a phone or internet or access to a computer. There are so many coaches online and people who will listen to you online as well.
100%. Yeah. There's so many options, and just pick one and go with it. It will, just the fact that you picked one and gone with it is a huge plus, and it's a huge step to feeling better. And it might not be like absolute perfect one choice that first time, but keep going, keep making choices, keep expressing yourself, and before you know it, I know that you will find yourself in a situation where you can just do that naturally and around people that are just around you, and you can just be yourself, because that's all we want to do. And that's the hardest thing, but the easiest thing in the world is to be yourself.
Yeah, it should be the easiest
You
thing.
know?
Somehow it's the hardest thing in the Western world.
Yeah.
Society, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So because it's so weird but accepted that mental health and depression is so common in New Zealand, especially for men, why do you think that is? If you reflect now on our society and our culture, what do you think the main key points are that leads people to feeling unhappy?
I think that my heart just yelled out to me, alcohol.
Right.
It was like, yeah, like if we're talking about this country, there
Hmm.
was no alcohol 150 years ago.
Yeah.
And the Europeans brought alcohol in, like they did with so many other continents, and fed the locals alcohol,
Yeah.
and got them distracted, got them wasted, and then took the land.
Yeah.
You know, and alcohol has the same effect on every race, like white people, black people, brown people, whatever. It's no good for it's no good for anyone.
Yeah.
So I think that that is before that, you know, we were in tribes, and we were physical, and we were singing, and we were dancing, and we were playing music, and we were giving birth, and we were fucking, and we were just like, we were just in nature. And um and then alcohol came along, and then it just literally tipsy, the word tipsy, it,
Hmm.
that's what happens. You get tipsy, and you just
The world got
lose your balance.
the world
Yeah.
flipped upside down.
You lose your balance. And we're seeing it now, like people can't wait. People hate their jobs so much
Yeah.
that they can't wait till Friday comes to drink alcohol and what, be wasted and be even more disconnected.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Numbing
alcohol's,
agent too. That's why
what
people
was that?
it's a numbing agent. It's like they're going
Yeah.
through the week feeling so fucking shit about themselves because they hate their lives, they hate their jobs, they have no real unconditional love and relationship with someone, with anyone, let alone themselves. And so yeah, they're wanting to numb that pain, and people are doing it through the week as well. They can't wait to come home from
Mm.
work and put the kids to sleep so that they can have their glass of wine or their bottle of wine at night. Like it's not just
Yeah.
the kids as well. Like people are drinking through the week as well. And even if it's just 2 glasses, it still affects your health. And why do you
Mm.
still need those 2 glasses? Are you questioning yourself like, oh, are you making that excuse like, oh, it's just a beer, it's just a wine, it's just a couple of glasses, it's I'm eating at the same time. But it's like, cool, but why is your body needing that? If
Yeah.
you close your eyes and you saw yourself living your dream life and you were so happy, would you still be wanting that wine? What is it
Mm.
in you that is
Yeah.
wanting alcohol, that is wanting the wine?
It's funny you said that. It reminds me about what I was thinking the other day about treats, the way we
Mm.
treat ourselves. We give ourselves a treat, and normally what a treat normally means is like the worst thing for you. It's like, I'm gonna give myself a treat, and it's gonna be this like block of chocolate.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, wouldn't a real treat be something like really good for you? So
Mango.
it's like a mango, like everything's like upside down, you know. So we know we got a big alcohol problem,
Mm.
and it affects all of us.
Yeah.
And I think that is a huge reason for the disconnection between parents and their kids, children and their parents,
Yeah.
people with themselves,
Yeah.
and whether you do drink or not, you're affected by it because you've probably got a brother or sister or dad or mother who does, and your life's been affected by it. So I think
Yeah.
I think that's been just awful for the human race.
Yeah.
I don't think anything ever good, truly amazing, has ever come from alcohol.
Oh, no. No, exactly. There's so many things I want to point on there as well. And it's, as you said, like people, if you don't drink, there's people you know who are drinking. What I get really often now is I don't know if I'm just attracting more people in my life who don't drink, or if the consciousness, I think it's the consciousness of society is elevating, and there are more people wanting to be sober and not drink, but it's like this pressure. Call it pressure, you can label it as anything you want, but when they're out, you know, everyone else is drinking, so they're almost not wanting to go out anymore because they find it hard not to drink when they're hanging out with people who are drinking as well. So it's like
Mm,
having that loneliness as well. Like, it, yes, you are affected by alcohol even if you aren't drinking. It's like, oh well, I actually don't want to go out
yeah,
Friday night with my friends because they're all going to
yeah.
be face, and I don't want to join that, so I'm just not going to go out, I'm not going to connect.
Yeah, so that's where we step in with NZ Spirit. What we do is we've created an alternative place for you to go and celebrate and party and be with people that aren't drinking. And the alcohol companies will hate this
Yeah.
because for the last 100 years, when you go out, the only places you can go serve alcohol. It's been a monopoly forever, and we've been brainwashed to think that this is the only way.
Yeah.
So alternatives are starting to pop up around the place. You know, I've heard there's kombucha bars now in Auckland City.
What?
Like we're running alcohol-free festivals.
So
You know, getting together, doing so many different things without the influence of alcohol is epic. And you do come back to the presence of how miraculous everything in this universe is, including each other, and then that vibration, because there's no intoxication, keeps going into the next day.
yeah, yeah. And the thing that's going to stick in my head for a while now, I'm probably going to need to do another podcast episode about this, but the treat thing, it's so true. Like when you really think about it, it doesn't matter if it's good for you or not. You should be able to have treats all the time. Like if you have enough self-worth and self-love,
Yeah,
like no, you get that all the time, no matter if it's something that's seen as good for you or bad for you. So that's a whole
yeah.
other podcast.
Wouldn't a treat be like up leveling? Like I want my treats to be
All the
like,
time. Why does it have to be a treat if it's up leveling you, right? Like if you enjoy something
yeah,
so much and it's good for you, why can you only get it as a treat? Like why can't you eat that?
yeah. Yeah, it reminds me as well of kind of how we go on holiday to these places that are really beautiful and whatnot. I'm like, oh, I wish like this feels good. Why don't I just be here all the time? It's like, well, yeah. Why don't you just be on holiday all the time? Why don't you just live there? You know, be where it feels good.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that glass ceiling thing. It's
Mm,
not real. Like we can do anything.
yeah. Yeah, we really can. Like Wi-Fi and data and like all these
Yeah.
satellites floating around our planet. Like
Yes.
humans made that. Humans created this technology. Like if you were to like sit down, if someone was to be like, oh, data and Wi-Fi are no longer working, we need to recreate it, can you help? Like would you even know where to start?
I know, I know,
They're
I
fast.
know. It's this time we're living in is got full of so many amazing opportunities. Social media is an amazing thing if we share good shit on it. And it's a horrible thing if we share bad shit. You know, just like any other form of speech or communication, just share good things.
Yeah, yeah. So true, so true. And my take on why so many people get depressed, if I had a pinpoint like a specific reason, I would say alcohol escalates it and makes it worse. It's not helping. It's a coping mechanism, so people are using it as a tool, as a numbing agent to make themselves feel better just in the moment while they're drinking, but I don't think that's like the cause, because I believe that if we're truly happy, no one is going to gravitate towards alcohol anyway. It's
Yeah.
for people who are unhappy, whether they're unhappy consciously or subconsciously or unconsciously. Um,
Mm.
but I feel like it's connection. It's connection that's lacking. Like we're growing up in this
Yeah.
society that makes everyone believe that you have to be independent in this world and do everything on your own and
Yeah.
nothing affects you and you're responsible for everything. And like and just like, I don't know, like you live in your little bubble and you have your little house, and like even like friendships now, like remember when we were kids and we used to have sleepovers and we used to like hang out
Yeah.
all the time, and like now
Yeah.
nobody has sleepovers at my age. I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. To
invite a
your,
guy over for a sleepover and just have it be platonic, like just a guy friend. Like,
yeah.
what is that?
That's what I was saying. Like that friend that is suicidal, maybe, like that person's dying for a fucking sleepover.
You're dying
That's what
for a
the,
sleepover party. That's what it fucking is.
that's what we all need is a damn sleepover party,
Yeah,
more of them, you
yeah,
know, and I know that feeling. Like I fully caught your feeling on that. Like I loved sleepovers. I would do anything for the sleepover to be 2 nights, you
yeah,
know, to keep it going, like to keep like you know, bedroom rugby going,
exactly. Yeah,
and fun and fun giggly conversations till 3 in the morning.
exactly.
That is tribe, that is community, togetherness. So I
Yeah,
completely agree with you on that. We're disconnected and that needs to change.
totally. So moral of the story, get your onesie, get your friends over, get popcorn, board
100%.
games.
Yeah, on a Tuesday night. You know,
Exactly.
don't wait till Friday.
Exactly. Tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on the show.
Oh,
You're
it's been fun.
I love your work. I love what you're doing for the world and for our society and for the people. Thank you so, 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 so much.
Oh, you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Well, now you get to spend time with your girls.
Yeah, they'll be home in a minute.
Yay.
Oh, that was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, how many of these have you got sort of waiting to go online?
Um, I have 53 episodes out now. My first one was on
Wow.
the 1st of January this year. And I have probably another 30 that are like cut, edited, ready to go. Um,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. But I have like phases in my life. For example, like when you're in Bali and I like go to California for 2 months or whatever, like I have like phases where I don't do a lot. And I feel like I
Yeah.
get most of my work done when I'm in New Zealand with my primary partner, with Misha and stuff. Like it's where I'm
Yeah.
based. So it's where I have like creative space. Like if you see like our living room is just like empty, like we purposely like didn't get a dining, like we didn't do the like getting the big table and chairs. Like I love
Mm,
space so I can like do my yoga and do my work. So I'm like when I'm here I'm like doing all the work, and then it's good because then I can travel, and then I have all these like, you know, pre-recorded, pre-edited
yeah.
podcasts that I can just like launch when I'm really busy. So
It's good to have just like a load of them so that you don't have to be scared